2 years. It is due solely to her that we, two 17-year-old fugitives and G, have been able to make a living. It was Maggie who bartered the last of our coins for the rent on a falling-down cottage in Applebridge. Maggie who hammered and nailed and scrubbed and drove me relentlessly to do the same until the cottage had a tap room, usable kitchen and 3 tiny bedrooms above. Maggie who cooked stews from wild rabbit and kitchen garden vegetables, stews so good that local farmers began leaving their own cottages to have dinner and sour ale at the inn, talking through the long winter nights and glad for a gathering place to do it. Maggie who bought the ale, driving such a hard bargain that she won the grudging respect of men 3 times her age. Maggie who acquired our chickens, sewed our tunics, baked and boiled and roasted. Maggie who just this spring bought the 2 ewes from the widow Moor with our carefully hoarded money. Maggie who had saved my very life, with Mother Chilton's help. I owed Maggie everything. But I could not give her the one thing she wanted from me. I could not love her. Cecilia stood between us, just as if she had not died. Twice. Cecilia and Queen Caroline and my talent, which I had not used in over 2 years, but which still festered within me, like a sore that would not heal. The sheep gazed at me meditatively with their silly faces. Stupid animals. They irritated me constantly. They belched, they farted, they got sore mouth and ringworm, they fell on their backs and, when in full wool, couldn't get up without help. They chewed their cud until it was a sloppy wad and then dropped it on my foot. They were afraid of new colours, strange smells, and walking in a straight line. They smelled. Still, I was not looking forward to killing the lamb. One of the ewes lay beside twin lambs, the other nursed a single offspring. Which one did Maggie mean by fattest? How many travellers were there? And where did they come from? I should have been fearful of travellers, but I found I was not. Any change in the small, wearying, unchanging routine of Applebridge was welcome, and there should be nothing to fear. The queendom had been at peace for 2.5 years, ruled by Lord Protector Robert Hopewell for 6-year-old Princess Stephanie. No one knew where or who I was. Travellers would be a pleasant break. "I'm sorry," I said to the larger and plumper of the twin lambs. It blinked at me and curled closer to its mother. I left the sheep shed, carefully barring the wooden door, and walked the dirt path to the back of the cottage. The summer morning sparkled fresh and fair. Wild roses bloomed along the lanes, along with daisies and buttercups and bluebells. Birds twittered. The cottage stood on the side of a hill backed by wooden slopes, and I could see the farms and orchards of Applebridge spread below me, fields and trees all coloured that tender yellow-green that comes but once a year. The river ran swift and blue, spanned by the ancient stone bridge that gave the village its name. Maggie's kitchen garden smelled of mint and lavender. As I rounded the corner of our cottage to the stable yard, I stopped cold. Travellers, G had said, and their servants. But he had not told me of anything like this. 5 mules, stronger than donkeys and sturdier than horses, were being groomed and watered by a youth about my own age, although I knew that I, with all that had been done to and by me, looked older than 17. The mules were fine animals, but looked as if they had been pushed hard to pull the 4 wagons now drawn off the road. 3 other wagons were farm carts, such as everyone used to take crops to market, but they were piled high with polished wooden chests, with expensively carved furniture, with barrels and canvas bags. The 4th was a closed caravan with a double harness, such as fair folk used to take their booths around a more populated countryside than ours. This caravan, however, had gilded wheels and brass fittings and silver trim. Neither wagon nor coach, it was a room on wheels, and probably as rich within as without. Where had such visitors come from, and what had driven them to travel on a night lit only by the thinnest of crescent moons? "Good morrow," I said to the youth. He snapped something I could not understand through his thick, high-pitched accent. "What?" I said. This time I caught enough words. "Be half-wit? Tell, hurry! My lady's breakfast!" Hot words rose to my lips. I was the proprietor of this inn, and he but a stable boy. But before I could lambast him, the cottage door opened and Maggie rushed out. "Peter, I need that lamb butchered now if I'm to have stew for noon dinner. They leave by mid-afternoon."